Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. Hope you are all well and welcome back to Making Sense. Glad to have you here with us again. And welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this platform. For all of you who don't know this is your first time to Making Sense. Making Sense is about having those conversations that are thought-provoking, that get you to discover something new, that empower you financially, whether it's with your personal money, whether it's with your business, and of course, like we're talking today, whether it's about your career. And let us know where you're tuning in from. Remember, we don't script this, so this is the kind of conversations that just think about us like we were in your sitting room. Yeah, just think if we were in your sitting room, what would we be talking about? And I'm so excited about today because I have two people who are going to be the guests. I can't even call them guests. These guys are going to come here and just pretty much run the show. Today is one of those discussions where it's going to be me. I'm here, my face is here, but I'm also listening and I'm also learning. So today we are talking, I want us to get into it because I know it's going to be such an exciting conversation. We've been talking about traps this entire month. And if you haven't caught the last couple of segments, please go and look at YouTube. And we started with the debt trap, then we went to the single income trap. Last week, we were talking about the hustler trap for people who are starting businesses or are in businesses. And today, yes, we want to go there. We're talking about the career trap. We run a program at Centonomy called Centonomy Career Hub. And a lot of people join that program because they are feeling stuck. They don't know their moves. And we know this period has done so many things to so many people's jobs. And this program, as you know, is based on the book I wrote called Making Sense. And in Making Sense, I talk about something that's related to what we're talking about today. I talk about non-financial assets. And if you've read the book and followed the story of Douglas, you know how he used those non-financial assets to create wealth. So apart from his job, he realized he can write. He realized he's good at communication and used that to just expand his opportunities. And I'm just going to kick off with that. And just tell people, I think from my opinion, this is the time where you cannot afford to define yourself one way. So let's just look at this scenario. You're an accountant and you're looking for a job, you're looking for an opportunity, but maybe you're only going to look for another job that was similar to what you had. How about if you become the accountant who realizes you're also good at communication, you're also good with people? How can you repackage that to then go out there and then look at that opportunity? So I'm just going to kick off with that frame of mind. So my guests today are Mwenesi Musalia, who's a career coach. Welcome, Mwenesi. And we have Charity, Charity Mbithe, who's the assistant comms and PR manager at Centonomy, and just an amazing woman in her own right. Yeah. So Mwenesi, I'm just gonna throw that first at you of, I'm an accountant, I'm looking for another accounting job. I'm complaining there are no jobs out there because I keep looking for the same thing. I only know to define myself in one angle. And I know you talk to people a lot about that. So maybe we can kick off with that and hear what you have to say.
That's a great question, Waceke. And it's something that is not uncommon because we have been raised and socialized in the traditional education system. I think maybe our generation and maybe our parents' generation grew up knowing that you'd follow one line. You would be born and then you would go to school and then you would try to stay alive. And then eventually after you finish school, you would do the right thing, get a job, possibly settle down, start a family, and then just wait to die. So that line, that linear line has... maybe do something somewhat remarkable along the way. I think that was the stability path that was picked out for many people. However, it's since the advent of the internet and technology and everything else, how we learn and how we do things has changed significantly over the last 10 to 15 years. And so the ability to think in that way, I don't think is possible anymore.
Yeah.
The traditional thinking of I've gone to school and I have studied accounting, so I must go and get an accounting job and keep rising in the ranks. When we talk about rising in the ranks, we're rising in terms of salary, not in terms of pretty much anything else. Maybe salary and title. That's like the traditional goal. But that's a very linear way of thinking. And I think going that way straight up into, I'm going to get more money as an accountant. Maybe I'll do an appraisal and get maybe an extra 10, 20,000 shillings on my salary. And then maybe I'll go from junior accounts officer to accounts officer to accounts manager to deputy senior accounts director to accounts director, and then maybe CFO. So people think of it just in that particular path. But there has to be more to it than that. And I think in the past, where you would find maybe 80% of people would have their career plan thought of that way, in this day and age, 2020, I don't think you can afford to do that, because not only are universities churning out more and more graduates, let's talk about BCom accounts, for example, or CPAs. There's so many people. I think the ratio now is like every university is graduating, especially here in Kenya, maybe about 300 to 400 graduates every year, and we don't know how many universities there are in Kenya, you know. So you're in a very competitive landscape where that traditional model is only going to be available to maybe 10-20% of the people. What happens to the rest of the group? If you are still trying to do that thing, then you will be competing for a very small share of the pie, and then getting very frustrated, getting very upset in your career path, simply because you're not looking horizontally, you're not looking laterally at your opportunities, you're looking vertically. And the ability to look laterally and say, okay, you know what? There are so many other things that I can do with my strengths, with my abilities, not just my accounts degree. What else can I do that is lateral? If you keep looking up, where I'm going to go junior officer, all you're doing is looking this way, it blinds you from the opportunities that exist laterally. And you can turn around and look and say, okay, you know what? Accounts actually touches on every single aspect of the business. It touches on supply chain, which is procurement. It touches on marketing. It touches on maybe sales. It touches on all aspects of the business. So where else can my particular skill of being a money person or being an accounts person, where can that skill be utilized? And what else can I learn so that my opportunities are not just this way, but my opportunities are this way. So you now have a couple of branches that you can explore as far as opportunities, and not just a single stem. So I think it's important that we start thinking of opportunities laterally. Instead of just looking at that linear line.
Yeah. Charity, do you want to, it's like just to add on, it's like trying to climb, everybody is focused on climbing the mountain, but around the mountain there's so much. There's flat land, there's forest, there's savanna, there's wildlife, and everybody is so focused on climbing the mountain that they've forgotten everything else that is around or coexists with the mountain. Yeah. Charity, and I think you coming from also what you do, your generation, where you've been told exactly what Mwenesi was saying, go to school, work hard, get a job, and a job should be like this, and a job should be in certain organizations. Parents want to say, my son or daughter, they work in a blue chip company, yeah? And I've been talking to a lot of young people as well and telling them, look, I think that way of thinking also, blue chip company, and following that career trajectory that Mwenesi talked about, those days are actually over. Yeah, it's time to start opening our eyes. That small startup you're ignoring could be the one in 3 years you're like, oh my goodness, I wish. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, I totally agree with what you said. And I think one of the problem or major issues that our generation is facing nowadays is, yes, you took up this degree, you took up this conversation, and maybe you're not quite sure about the career path that you want to take, but this is what you did in campus. So people have that familiarity complex. I'll just take it from what Mwenesi was saying. It's what you're familiar with. You're familiar with, let's say, for example, I'm familiar with communication and public relations on my end, but I don't know, I'm afraid, or I'm not ready to actually, take myself out and explore other areas, because you see, when it comes to public relations, there are so many other entities. There are relations, there's community relations, there's corporate and CSR, there's public affairs, crisis management, and all other things. So I think that is one of the traps that the young people have really put themselves in a way that, if I started as a communication and PR assistant at Centonomy, I need to do that for the rest of my life without realizing that there are other things that you can still do with your course. So I think that's one of the first traps that many of us have actually gotten ourselves into. And secondly is, being desperate. You see, it's true that there may be limited job opportunities, especially at this current generation and these times. But you put yourself in a mix that, you know, there are few opportunities, though, so you end up being desperate and accepting anything and everything. So you end up trying to, there's this opportunity from this, just take it. You become, I remember one of the IG Live sessions that I host, a guest said that you accept anything, that is exactly what you get. So at the end of the day, whatever you have accepted is what you exactly get, and you get trapped because, you know, it's convenient, it's necessary because it pays your rent, it pays your bills. So you end up not really pushing yourself further into a way that, you know, you can have your own personal goals and define your personal vision. So I think not being able to, you know, map out your future and know exactly what it is that you want and not stand for any less than you deserve. I think that is one thing that we really need to learn.
As you were speaking, Charity, I think this came to me, and there's a difference then between a job, and there's a difference between a job and a career. And even last time we're telling people there's a difference between a hustle and a business. Yeah. And I think what you're talking about is just getting a job cannot be the agenda anymore. I want a job, I'll take any job, just give me a job. Because, and when I see, I link it to something you're saying before, when you have that mentality, you're always going to be in the auction pool. Someone offers you 10,000 shillings or $100, you're there for the taking, yeah? But you're never actually developing a career. So how do people start changing their mentality, even those who have jobs, to stop treating them as jobs that I'm just there 8 to 5, so that I can get my salary at the end of the month? Because I'm also going to speak from an employer's perspective. Even us, we don't want to hire people like that anymore. We want people who want to grow with us, who understand the purpose, who understand the vision, and have bought into it through good times and bad times. Because sometimes as employers, we feel used. When it's good times, guys are there, hoo-hoo, office party, hoo-hoo. When it's hard times, they're walking away. So we had created an auction pool, not a talent pool, yeah?
Yeah, so I think for me, what I would say is, so that people, especially young people, can avoid getting into the career trap, the first thing I would say is mapping out your future. Because mapping out your future is, I did communication and public relations. What's the entire goal? What do I want to be in 20 years? Yeah. Now I have to backwards and know exactly how will I get there, which organizations do I need to work with, which roles do I need to explore, and so on and so forth. So first of all, if I map out my future, I'll be able to know at least what I'm working towards. Not living in the uncertainty, not just taking up a job and you're like, well, let's live in the moment. Yes, live in the moment, have a future to work towards. The second thing I would say is learn, listen, watch, and give your best, and understand how organizations work. One thing for sure is success never happens, never become an expert overnight. So you have just listen, learn, and keep growing in the process. So I think that's the second thing that people need to know, to do, especially our young generation, whereby you're able to take time and give yourself time to be able to get to that point. And the third one is expose yourself to areas that are educative, and by this I mean, one thing for sure is people get hired and promoted based on their credentials sometimes, and as well as potential, but having mass knowledge or exposing yourself to, you know, platforms that are going to grow your education, platforms that are going to increase your knowledge, actually are going to, you know, help you even as you continue your journey to way up the career ladder. Yeah, so I would say the first was map out your future. The second is look where you stand and, you know where you want to go. Learn, listen, give yourself time, and as well as educate yourself. And maybe to throw in one more thing is appearance matters. And I remember, one person reached out to me actually, and they're like, "Wow, you look like a big figure," and you know, from the idealized or so. But all I'm saying is that appearance really matters, and success is. And the rule of the lamp that actually says dress one level above everyone else with your title, or act one level up above the next level above you. So that thing I think really works, and that is more of personal branding. And I'm sure Mwenesi will be telling about especially how to brand yourself as you start your career journey. So yeah, I think those are
okay. Mwenesi, anything to add to job versus career and what Charity has said?
Absolutely. I mean, I agree completely 100% with everything Charity has mentioned. Especially both from an employer and an employee perspective, For us as employers, I am always trying to see, okay, you as the person who has come in for this interview, what is your personal agenda? What is your long-term, medium and long-term agenda? Because if I don't know what your agenda is, I won't understand how you best fit into my business and my company's agenda.
Yeah.
So if you expect that you're coming here to start figuring your life out and I'm supposed to help you figure your life out, then I'm not bringing you on here for a job. I'm bringing you here to I'm not saying that as an employer, I should not be the one to help you develop and grow. You should have some idea of, like the way Charity was saying, what does the map of your life look like? And I think that's the distinction between a job and a career. A job is something that you do to pay bills. It is a task that you engage in just so that you can have some fiscal returns at the end of the day. But a career is a journey, and that every journey has certain milestones, certain stops and objectives along the way. And so what I'm looking for as an employer is, and I'm sure many employers look for this, is what do you want to do with yourself? You know that question that people ask during interviews, where do you see yourself 2 years or 5 years from now? It's not just so that because they can sound like they're trying to harass you. It's really to see, is your vision aligned with the company? Is your vision aligned with the industry? Because if we're not aligned, then it doesn't matter how brilliant you are, how technically gifted you are, how many A's you graduated with, first class honors, none of that stuff actually matters. Because if we're not aligned, we will always be butting heads. We will always be going in different directions. So my destination as a business, as an employer, needs to match your destination, your career. So that if those two are aligned, then we're good to go. So I really like the fact that mapping is critical. And besides mapping, which is linked to planning, I think the other big distinction between a job, people who are thinking about, let me just do a job for the sake of doing a job, and those who are thinking about their career, is that they're not slaves to circumstance. They're not just, everything around them is that victim mentality that, I'm not progressing because of my boss. I'm not progressing because of economy. I'm not progressing because of my colleague. He keeps looking at me funny. Mara of this politics. I've been working so hard. I stay up until 11. They don't give me a promotion. So you're always playing the victim, and because you're waiting to be validated, or your success is dependent on the things around you, as opposed to deciding for yourself what factors in your environment will determine your success. And those people who get stuck in that trap of waiting for their environment to determine their outcome, they will always be stuck. As opposed to those who are thinking, okay, this is my career, this is my life. What do I want to get out of this job, out of this industry, out of this employer, out of these colleagues, out of this situation that I'm in, as opposed to waiting for the situation to define it for you. So I think those two things, the failing to map and have a plan, as well as failing to decide for yourself what it is that you want and waiting for other people to decide for you. Then you'll always, instead of being we call it in the career hub, especially the first class, module 1 of the career hub, we call it the general versus the soldier. Do you want to be a general who is also a soldier but has a different perspective, can see how into their life, or the soldier who's just there, you're like the KYM, you're the Kazi ya Mkono who's just there waiting to be told, do this or do that. You can't think for yourself because you're just sitting waiting for something to happen to you. So
and you can be a soldier that looks very good. You can be a soldier earning a very nice salary and living a flashy life. But when you go to work, because none of us, God did not create us in a way that we can hide unfulfillment. So you're going there, you have a nice office, but you are feeling so unfulfilled. And I think people feel unfulfilled when there are other things inside of them that are not being used. Yeah. And I like hiring people who think like a business, Mwenesi and Charity. In fact, I believe every individual needs to think of themselves as me limited. So the same way you would have a business that is called some XYZ Limited, it's you limited, Jane Limited, Stephen Limited, Brian Limited, and just now think, what does Brian want to achieve? What do I want? And everything that you're talking about, but also what is my unique value proposition? And I think the unique value proposition cannot be, I'm able to badmouth people's so that I always get to be the one chosen. I manage to elbow people out, or even people who are in leadership positions, titles. Let me not say not positions, leadership titles. And their work is to micromanage people because they are so insecure about themselves that the last thing they want is somebody to come and come anywhere near them. As we've been growing Centonomy, so many people came and told me, how can you allow your team to be on TV? They're gonna come and take over, and you know, and I'm just like, if I spent my nights if that's what I spent my nights wondering about, this business would never grow. Yeah. And I just think sometimes even in careers, it could be the same things. And you guys, we're so distracted. And there's this animal called instant gratification. It shows up in our money, where we want to spend money we don't have. It shows up in what we're talking about, why an extra 20,000 shillings, someone will leave a job that if they just stuck there for a year, 2 years, they would have been somewhere completely different. But I think when you're thinking as me limited, you also understand the difference between promotion and progress. Yeah, you can be given a promotion that can come with a salary increase and even a job increase, and you can walk around the office saying you're now a boss. But have you made progress? And progress sometimes in life is not, as you said, it's not always linear and linear upwards. Yeah, progress can be, sometimes you're taking another project, you're getting no salary. People are even wondering, why are you spending more of your time? And a lot of people have this, if I'm not being paid extra for it, I won't do it. Nobody wants to hire anybody who thinks like that anymore. But progress could be taking on extra because you know it will equip me with the networks, it would equip me with the skills, I learn things I don't know. Progress sometimes, and I know a lot of people who've done this, some people have gone and worked for companies at less of a salary. Yeah, but because of being able to see just a step further. Yeah.
Yeah, and even thinking about the instant gratification, something came into mind. With that joblessness vibe again on it, you realize that you take up anything because that is first of all what is available, and because it's what is first of all accessible, and you realize that sometimes it's not in your career path or it's not exactly what you want to take. So for example, let's say for me, there's a job as a typist, so there's a job as a, as an IT, something that does not really relate to what I pursued, or most importantly, what I do in life. So I think that's a career, just because you take, I think Beth says she can't hear me well. Can you hear me well, Waceke?
I can hear you, but there's an echo, but just continue.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, so as I was saying, you not exactly match what they want to do and defend themselves in that career track. And when you are talking about expanding horizontally, not just but also includes forming networks, and forming networks that you don't need at the moment. Because one thing I believe is, if you want to progress and you want to keep progressing, as much as it's a vertical ambition that you want to have, you still have to progress horizontally. And that is starting to connect with people, start forming networks that you will not even you might not even need them in 1 year's time, 5 years' time, but in 10 years, 20 years' time, I really need the contact. Yes, I think that is one of the things that I've come to realize, or rather I'm actually exploring them, because I'm also in a journey exploration phase in my life. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Mwenesi?
Waceke, you've said so many things that I love, and I want to bring my own personal story, not just as Mwenesi, but as Mwenesi as part of Centonomy. And I'm thinking back all those years ago when I started encountering what Centonomy was all about. I think it was like almost 7 years ago. I remember our business was part of a team that was working, that we were doing a mentorship presentation at UN Business School in Mbithe. And I was sharing a platform with Centonomy. And even if you had asked me, why are you going for this thing at UN? No one is paying you any money. There's no, in fact, we were the ones who were sponsoring as House of Major company. We were sponsoring because we know the value of networks. I didn't know who I was going to meet there. I knew there were going to be a bunch of people, different companies, Unilever and some of these other people. So I went in thinking as a business. I'm going to go in as Mwenesi, thinking about, I'm going to go to this mentorship forum. I will actually invest some money to go and participate, not because of anything, but just because I want to expand my networks and see what's what. And the next minute I'm having a conversation with someone from Centonomy. The next minute I'm realizing, actually, hang on, I like this standing of people teaching, talking thing. That was never something that was part of our service offering as a business.
Yeah.
But the more I started doing it, courtesy of Centonomy, the more I realized that there's a possibility of this actually becoming something that fits in with what and I think you mentioned it here, your unique value proposition.
Yes.
I realized that my unique value proposition was giving knowledge, was helping people figure things out. That's what I knew I'd been good at, and it had been growing for some time, but I just didn't have the correct platform or already enough. And what Centonomy provided me was that platform. I thought to myself, all right, fine. Let me see what's what. And if I had come in with the mentality of, you know what, I'm coming in here, these are my rates, this is what you need to pay me, this needs to happen. I mean, we would have been dead in the water before anything would have started.
Yeah.
But because I took an opportunity to grow my unique value proposition, my unique selling point as a business, as Mwenesi Incorporated, I said, let me immerse myself fully into this and give this thing 100%. No one needed to call me and tell me, Mwenesi, you need to show up for this training or do this. It was mine. I wasn't doing it because of anybody else. I was doing it for myself. And now 6 years on, or however long we've been together, not only have I benefited immensely from networks and the people that I have met along the way, but I think we've also managed to grow and add value to the business. So, and the minute people start to realize that, and this is the other thing, when I look at the title that I have now of communication image consultant. I mean, what is that? Like, I don't even know what that means, but someone told me that that's what I do. And so I'm like, I guess that's what I do. So it's a title that was given to me, but it was never part of the agenda, maybe 15, 20. In the 90s, what was an image consultant in the 90s? Who does that? In the 90s or the 2000s, there was nothing like social media manager. So when we put emphasis on titles and ranking, whatever it is, as opposed to you as an individual, what do you want to accomplish for yourself? What are you good at? What valuable thing can you offer? And I love that unique value proposition argument. People need to figure out not what degree do they have or what title do they have. What unique thing of value do they have that they can exchange for value? Either they can exchange it for money value, they can exchange it for networking value, which we call social capital. They can exchange it for market share, which is your brand. They can exchange it for, you can exchange your value for so many different things. And once I put the idea of the concept of value exchange in my mind, that's all I do on a daily basis. Today, all I've been doing is exchanging value. That's all I'm doing is I'm exchanging value. I'm trying to give as much of my value as possible. And then in return, I'm trying to see what else can I gain for myself. I'm not, now it's not up to Waceke or charity or decide for me why this is good for me. I've already decided in my mind because it gives me, one, the opportunity to express my unique value proposition, and two, it ties in with what I want to do next year and the year after that and the year after that.
Amazing. I'm just going to tell everybody here, did you hear that? Exchange of value. Exchange of value. Nobody is hiring you because they are feeling woye on you and want to give you a job. Yeah. It's always an exchange of value and you're in there to get value. Please remember, guys, please ask your questions. Please put them on the chat and we'll try to answer them as we go. And when I see your story has just reminded me something, and it ties in with the word also Charity used of exploration. We've got to be willing to explore. I think so we want all the answers. And sometimes that's why we convince ourselves, if I load on another degree, no, you got a degree. Oh, I need another master's. Okay, you get the master's. Oh, I need a certificate in what? And I've met people who are perpetually studying something. Not that studying is bad, but it's not, if you're just studying without actually testing, exploring, it's not a degree, or I'm going to do a PhD, because I've heard when people do PhDs and they have that doctor in front of their name, their salary goes up. I've had crazy statements like that. And when I started Centonomy, and I keep telling people, I was at the brokest time in my life. If I was looking at what qualifications do I have, because when people, to teach people about money, first of all, the qualification I thought I should have is have money. I didn't have any money. And it was one of those, even the fuel for the car, where the client has called me, going back was a prayer. Yeah. Will the car be E? Does E mean 3 kilometers, 5 kilometers? What does E exactly mean? But I learned it's not about those things. The client got value. Yeah, that is it. Yeah. So now when I was there with that first client, I was testing value. So your value doesn't come because of your degree. And when you rightfully said, so do 300,000 people also have that same becomes accounting?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now we're becoming an internet world where it doesn't even have to be you. It could be your competition, could be somebody in Zambia. Yeah. It's no longer just about you. So if we are thinking it's another education, it's more this, we keep thinking more this, more this, more this, more this, without just tying into explore. Yeah, go shaking. You will be afraid, but just go shaking, go try, go ask. And I think it's time for people to stop waiting for jobs to be advertised. See, once you understand value, you now start saying, aha, this is the problem I can solve in this industry, in this company. You start to, so you're no longer the job seeker who needs to be given a job and you're so lucky because somebody gave you the job. You approach someone, maybe they had never, just what you're saying, Mwenesi, they had never thought of this position, but you went and told them, and I know someone who has done this is what I can do for you. And she got hired. Yeah, this is the problem I can solve for you, but you've got to be also ready to deliver, to not say I can solve this problem, then the next day you go there and wait to be given answers about what you do. Another thing is, and employers we don't want anymore is people who are waiting to be told what to do.
Oh, yes.
I don't want anyone who's waiting to be told what to do. Yeah. Yeah. And I must say with my team at Centonomy, I witnessed a bunch of people who are not being told what to do. They got it, we are moving. And Charity, you're one of those people who just said, this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do on IG. I'm not asking for permission and let's go. But maybe both of you, and maybe I'll start with you, Charity. You can speak because you know your friends and whatever. Why are people still in this day and age waiting to be told what to do? We didn't do because the boss did not tell us. I'm a boss, I'm an employer, and I never want to hear those words from anybody, ever.
Ever. I like the emphasis. Yes, I think one of them is the fear. Fear in the sense that I think, of course, maybe what you have according to your JD or whatever, when you joined the organization, whatever it was written on your JD, that is exactly what you knew you are coming to do. But you realize that with time, as you just mentioned, employers need people who are flexible, people who take initiative. Just because it says that Charity should manage social media and there's maybe something that needs to be done, I think first of all it's the fear of maybe not being able to do it as effectively as it's required.
Yeah.
And the second, maybe I think one of the problems that's facing our young generation is saying no to opportunities. Like in a way that if something comes up, if there's a new job or if there's a job expansion that's required maybe in your field or in your current field, you don't want to try it out because you feel that maybe you are not enough. And one thing for sure that nowadays I'm more like just say yes and learn in the process.
Yeah.
So I think one of the other things, you fear that maybe it won't be as effective as it ought to be, or it won't work out as it would, or even just fearing that, that's a lot of work and maybe I'm not get paid for it. Because there are so many attitudes around it, but I think...
Isn't that a bit of an entitled... Is there also some entitlement that where people, I want to be paid 100 G's and I've just stepped out of university. There's also a lot of that goes on, yeah?
Even as you said entitlement, that reminded me of something that I think I had we hear a lot in Centonomy career, that nobody owes you anything. Like it's you to put in the effort, it's you to show your value, and then people will now pay for what you are bringing to the table. So I think those are some of the things that happen. And then in terms of not taking up initiative, one thing that young people do is overpromise and underdeliver. Someone will come in and be like, hey, people, I will do this and this and this. So at the end of the day, the employee is left expecting so much, but then you underdeliver. So I think that's one of the points that as young people really need to. You'd rather just not promise but over-deliver than over-promise and delivering.
I'm just going to tell young people this because I'm sorry, I've had it so much. Even I get emails, people looking for jobs, and I'm going to just tell all young people this. Being youth is not a unique value proposition, okay? Because guys are like, oh, we are youth, whatever, we'll give. Being millennial is not a unique value proposition. It's great you're living in this time and age where things are being done differently, but that is not a unique value proposition. So it's you and I don't know 5 million other people. So please let's just move on from we are young, so we are entitled and we deserve and we should, and you should bend backwards to work our way. I just want to say that's not a unique value proposition. I'll bend backwards because you have something of value. Yeah, that's what makes the employer bend backwards. Yeah, Mwenesi?
Yeah, I agree. And you know, as I'm hearing about the Charity mention why certain people can't seem to wait to be told what to do, it's because of fear. And I hear what you say about attitude. Some people, this entitlement attitude, that fear, that attitude. If one, and I think this is for me, and I'm biased because as a what we call soft skills, I don't like the term soft. I like to refer to it as core competencies.
Yeah.
So, and maybe this is where traditional education, the traditional school, and you went to like really expensive private school, or you were lucky to go to a school where you had teachers who really cared enough to really guide you through the social etiquette, communication requirements that society requires.
Yes.
How you package your value is so important. How you package it for yourself in your mind so that you're not afraid, so that you're confident, and how you package it for others, how you communicate to others, how you sell whatever it is that you have. First of all, you can't sell what you don't have. So if you don't know what you're good at, it's difficult to take that thing and then exchange it for value. I want to use the example of this ring. I don't know if it's visible, right?
Yeah.
This ring was a hunk of metal somewhere in the ground, somewhere in Asia. I got it in one of my trips to Indonesia. This was somewhere in the ground, a bit of silver in the ground with opal somewhere there. But someone had to remove it from there, do something, beat it, and then present it in a way that looked attractive so that someone like Mwenesi can come and buy it. You have to make the value attractive. And it's not going to be attractive to just everybody. You need to make it attractive to the people who need that thing. Because me as a neurosurgeon, I could be the best neurosurgeon, but if I go to a manufacturing plant that requires some engineering skills, all my neurosurgery is not going to help me in that engineering plant. You know, I need to be able to first understand where is this value needed and how can I package it in a way that is attractive to the people who need this thing. Because even if you have all the silver in the world, you can sell it if this was just sold as just silver ore, which is in the ground, and it's just it's just been taken from the ground, raw silver. The kind of money that you will get for it, or the value exchange that you will get for it, will not be as high as when it has been polished, some stuff has been done to it, and now it is presented with an attractive way, and now you can sell it for that much more. In manufacturing, you call it value addition. Raw coffee taken from the plantations, which is just coffee beans, versus the coffee that you get in a tin, which has already been processed and whatever. That coffee per kilo is much more valuable than the one which is just raw.
Absolutely.
So even young people, once you've identified your value and you know what it is that you can exchange, take the time to package it in a way that is attractive. Package it for yourself in a way that is attractive, so you're not fearing. You yourself, you're confident and say, I actually like talking to people. I actually like doing social media. I actually like meeting new people. I actually like whatever it is that you're package it well for yourself. Then take some time to package it well for others. And that package includes communication. It includes your attitude. It includes your ability to network and engage with people. It includes your ability to convince others that these people need it. Because all that value, if this thing remained in the ground, it would have been there, but it's not helping anyone. It's not producing anything that is economically beneficial. So being package your value, I think, is one of the biggest issues that prevent people from getting in the careers that they want, but also progressing. And I love the way you said promotion versus progress. Promotion is linear, but progress means that you're advancing in totality. My abilities to communicate my unique value proposition has made me all four quadrants of the value chain. I am both employed, I am an employer, I am a business owner, and I am an investor. All for a unique value proposition. So knowing that I have been able to accomplish all of these things simply by how I package it. I can't just come and say, okay, I know how to talk and I know how to train. Go on. No, I need to bring it in a way that is attractive, that is aesthetically pleasing, that makes sense to my target market, to my audience, to the person who needs this value the most.
Mwenesi, as you say that, I'm even thinking of older people who find themselves stuck. And I think it's this packaging, they don't know how to package themselves for the step ahead. And that's why sometimes you find people very threatened, because you're right. If you do stay in somewhere long enough, somebody's coming up behind because your time is done. Yeah.
Someone will come and do it cheaper, better,
faster. You should have been packaging yourself. Take all the experiences you've had, networks, and figure out what is the new repackaging for this. Granted, when you're 45 years old, you're not going to chase the same opportunities as a 25. But sometimes I've seen CVs from people who are much older, and they look like a CV that is the same CV they wrote 15 years back. So it's even during, as we are experiencing work, we are not taking note of the things. That same person, when you prompt them, they're like, oh, but I did that project and I led a team. I'm like, why isn't it in your CV? Why aren't you writing that? You're just coming across just like anybody. Tell me about the project you did, the problems you faced, how you solved them. And because you have had many projects, that is what should be in your CV, not your masters of what and your CPA, what. No, not anymore, yeah? So sometimes we don't, is it possible that we also need to keep taking stock and repackaging?
Oh, yes. And what you're saying, people who make that mistake of, you should have been putting this in your CV, it's because, first of all, you haven't packaged it for yourself.
Or you've not realized the importance for yourself, yeah?
For yourself, exactly. You're still stuck thinking it's my master's, it's my this, it's my that, my years of experience. But for yourself, you need to every day, like I love the way you're saying, every day take stock. Like you see this talk for me, this is going into my portfolio.
For sure, yes.
Is going into my portfolio at some point. If I'm ever moving around Nairobi or the world and someone asks me, have you ever had a discussion on financial progress as far as career is concerned? You best believe that whatever is coming up in that discussion, and I'm going to sell it. Because on a daily basis, we're taking stock of all the places where we're adding value to ourselves and our business.
And even all these activities people do randomly, or I do this in church, or I do this for my women's group, and they don't take stock and see its added value. As we're talking about packaging charity, I'm thinking especially of your line of work. What would you tell people? What should people be conscious about with social media? When now they know this is the image you're going to project, people are going to the first thing when you meet someone, everybody is like Google, yeah? So can we be careless anymore with social media? You are the one just voicing anything that you wanted to voice, and you are dancing on top of, unless that is in line with your career path. Yeah. So how does this packaging, how do you, especially for young people who are all about it's social media, what should they take into consideration when packaging on social media?
Okay, so one thing for sure I have to say is you need to clean up your social media platforms. And what I mean by this is you are in campus, maybe in second year, you went to bashing somewhere and you put up that video of you, I don't know, doing what and what. And now your current role, maybe you are, of course, you're better placed, or rather you have a brand to protect and to keep building. So the first thing I would say is clean up your social media. And it's not for you to post anything and anything, because you see social media, it's no longer private. As much as they are private accounts, trust me, you're still public, you're still on social media. So you ought to clean up your social media. The second thing is to act the part. So many people, you find that people have these job titles or job descriptions that you have, but when it comes to the social media platform or anywhere, any interaction that you have with people, you're not acting the part. So the second thing I would say is acting the part. If you want to be like I don't know, the head of what in what, act the part in your current position, regardless of how long maybe it may take you.
So you can't be playing victim now, but you say my agenda, my goals are to be head of this at Coca-Cola at this time.
Yes, no, I'll act the part and do all that I can to get to there. Then the third thing is scope out your skills. By scoping out your skills is there's always one thing. When we hear of Mwenesi Musalia, we know personal branding is everybody knows it's personal branding. When we hear of Waceke, we know it's entrepreneurship, it's wealth creation and all that. So I would say scope out your skills and let people know that about you. For example, when you go to my social media, maybe you might get the idea that I like to host things, or I like always have a value, or rather let people know you for what you do. So scope out your skills and share with people out there so that they can be able to, know what it is that you do. And then the other thing is reaching out. For example, for me, how it works is, especially the Career Hub IG Live, or if I want maybe to host a session or just literally anything, I reach out to people. And reaching out to people is one thing for sure. Social media is the platform that it's global, so you have access to everybody and anyone that you want to interact with. So if I want, maybe for example, if I want direction to even maybe to how to host better, I can reach out to someone who hosts a show that I maybe like. If I want to learn about, let's say it's Waceke, how to manage my finances, you can ask for mentorship. Like, one thing is always reaching out, because social media exposes you to literally everyone and all the resources that you need for that. So reach out and just ask for help. And then the other thing is spread your word, spread the word in the sense that you're doing this thing. Yes, I remember this is one of the things that Mwenesi says in the Career Hub class. No matter how good you are at, if people don't see it, it doesn't matter. So be able to spread the word. If I'm doing these IG Live sessions, if I'm doing graphics, if I'm doing management, I share it on my platform so that people can know that. Because if I'm doing that offline and online, that is where a lot of youth are, that is where a lot of opportunities are as well. So if I'm not showing it to the world, then it doesn't quite really matter or place me in situations or in platforms that are going to grow me. Then maybe the last thing is ask a lot of questions. Reach out, as I mentioned, as you're reaching out, ask a lot of questions. Ask yourself, of course, first of all, where do you want to be? What's the whole goal of, being on social media and doing all that you're doing? But at the same time, ask questions that are going to grow your knowledge, grow your expansion, and also ask questions in literally all senses, in terms of improvement, questions that are going to question what you're doing, that will give you better answers on how to strategize. And one thing for sure is, as much as you have a goal, you can always change the method or the channel of getting there, but the goal remains the same. So yeah, I think those are some of the things that I would highlight.
I like that point of reach out, but I want to tell people, because a lot of people also reach out to me. When you reach out, please make it easy for the person who you're reaching out to understand what it is you're saying. Even email is a way of, I think, you're already presenting yourself a certain way. So if there's no punctuation, there's no full stop, just gone on and on in a long email, honestly, it ended at the first sentence. So even when you're reaching out, even past social media, even when it's an email, honestly, take time, punctuation, capital letters, correct spelling. There's a difference between there and there, just those things, yeah. Is don't start a sentence with I think one day we just need to go back to basics of English. I'm good is not I am good. There is no about it, yeah. Kenyans, we've really adopted another English that is not, when you're actually trying to present yourself, may work against you, yeah. When I see Charity has talked about personal branding, and I know for many of us, we're like, what is personal branding? Is it what I am? People confuse it. So do I just go out and buy a whole new wardrobe that I'm like, oh, this is now my personal brand? Should I have a logo? Is that my personal brand? So just speak a bit, because it's so important for both all people, not just career people, business people, personal branding. Yeah.
So what you're talking about when you talk about your logo and what you're dressed in and how you appear, that is linked mostly to your first impression, which is part of the brand. A brand is a mark. Anytime you mention the word brand, you're talking about a mark. What mark have you left on people? When you brand something, it means that you have marked it. Waceke was here, Charity was here. What mark have you left? And so it's not just the first impression, but the last impression as well. It's a combination of those two things. The first impression is the one that people encounter in the first 3 to 7 seconds. Okay, who is this person? What do they look like? What do they sound like? Do I like them? Don't I like them? Am I afraid of them? Are they threatening? Are they fun? Are they useful? All of those things go on in our minds the minute we meet someone. Then you leave. When you're not there anymore, when you're no longer in their space, you're no longer in their physical presence, or what we call their 5 senses.
Yeah.
What is still left in the person's mind? Is it something positive, negative, or is there nothing at all? If there's nothing at all, then you're just not going to be remembered. I mean, you've done nothing. You have not remembered. In fact, we start off our personal branding module by saying, be phenomenal or be forgotten.
Yeah.
Because if no one can remember you, then it doesn't matter what you did. You are just nebulous. You are like air. but being able to leave a mark, the people who leave a mark and the people who can be remembered, when you're not in the room, when you're not there with them, what sort of conversations are happening about you that can either help or spoil your progress? And so obviously when we talk of personal branding, we're talking of positive marks that can help you in your career, that can add when you're not in the room. When you're not, once you leave a room, then something is happening. And it is quite possible to leave that mark without physically being there. Part of what we do on social media is that ability to leave a mark on people when you don't have to be there with them. I started a YouTube channel some time back, and because I can't be everywhere in all the rooms, in all the conversations, those videos, because that's the beauty of the internet, those videos allow me to be in people's phones, in people's laptops, in people's offices, in people's rooms, without me physically having to be there. And is what I am saying or what I am doing or how I am behaving on those videos leaving a mark? If it's leaving a mark, then it means that a decision can be made without me having to be there. I have shown up. In fact, since I started doing those videos, I thought I was completely crazy. Whenever someone tells me, send me a proposal or justify to me why I should give you this job, already I'm tired, because I'm like, you know what? Those days of sending a proposal, actually,
I know. I can so relate with you.
No, either you want it or you don't want it. I think it's enough now, because unfortunately I've relied so much on my brand to do work for me, and that's the beauty of building a brand. Your brand can have meetings on your behalf.
Yes, true.
It can make decisions about you. We can sit here and discuss someone famous and decide something about someone famous here, and it will have an impact on them. They have no idea that we're discussing them, but these can have consequences on them. What we try and do is, when you're building your brand, make sure that the consequences are positive, deliberate about taking steps. And one thing that I need to mention is that while advertising is what you say about yourself as far as the branding journey is concerned, PR, which Charity is very good at, is what other people are saying about you. So if other people say certain things about you and you say certain things about yourself, and those two things don't match, then it's a problem. So whatever you do offline needs to match what's happening online. Whatever it is, so you can't fake it till you make it. People will immediately, I know, Hapa, there's a disconnect. So as much as I would love to sit here in a vest and a kikoi, I can't. Doing that, because I have a brand which I need to protect. I can't just be and whatever. And finally, your associations, the people that you associate yourself with. So you see, the fact that I am associated with the powerhouse that is Waceke and Nduati, that is enough for me. When I just say, oh, by the way, I also am part of this thing called, you're okay. Yeah. Very good, have a seat. Yeah. But if, me and Kinanani from down the road, then like, okay, how? So pay attention, young people. Pay attention to the people that you choose to be associated with. When your name is said, who is being said alongside your name? When you're commenting on social media, what are you commenting on, and how is your brand associated? Who is your brand associated with? Because they say, we will judge you by your 5 closest friends. Yes. In fact, you have a total of your 5 closest people. The same applies online. If online I can't associate you with people who are relevant, who are adding value, and also I will also take you as the same as your association. So pay attention to how you associate and who you choose to associate with.
Okay. In Centonomy, we tell people ditch the poverty support group. So that's the people who, and it's just linked in a way to your associations, who are always complaining, oh, the economy, oh, my boss, I can't because I'm not good enough, you shouldn't. That nobody ever created wealth by being in a poverty support group. And in fact, if you're chair of your poverty support group, stop it, yeah? So you really have to, the associations, because even in a nutshell, the associations, the way conversation has a very strong impact on who we on our character and who we actually become. So that's extremely important. Charity, I want you to answer this question from Eleno. Is my unique value proposition synonymous to what you are good at? What do you think?
All right. So I think is my unique value proposition synonymous to what I'm good at? Yes, I definitely think so, because you can't sell what you are not. So whatever you're, that unique proposition is exactly what you are good at.
And I think it might go beyond just a skill set that we're talking about. So you could be good, like for Charity, at PR. And when we leave it there, it sometimes doesn't become that unique if you just call it PR. But if you start saying, me, I'm good at engaging people, I'm good at putting things together, just as what you are mentioning now, me, I'm good at reaching out to people and they respond, and now I'm getting a global network, that starts to become more of your unique value proposition. So I want people to just go beyond. Don't define your unique value proposition just as a skill. You're good at accounting. You're good at being a lawyer. You're good at, that doesn't differentiate you from whatever, because that's unique to you. We're basically saying there's nobody in this world who has the same thumbprint as you. What's that thumbprint about? Yeah. So it's not an accounting degree. Yeah. But you're good at things. You're good at listening. You're good at project management. So there are those things behind the scenes. Yeah. You're even patient. You're so patient that you can work with very difficult people. That's a unique value proposition, because not everybody can deal with your boss, but you can, because of your temperament. So that's also something to do with your value proposition as well. And I think it's just now being able to understand how to package it for the right setting. So Mwenesi, we have a comment from YouTube. It's also still about what is unique. We discover that what is unique with us at the job comes with us to another or our own establishment. So I believe we can be useful as we mindly set out to do. So I think it's just a comment, yeah. But I'd just like you to comment on that, even as you wrap up, and just maybe share and tell people about Centonomy Career Hub. Mwenesi is the lead facilitator for Centonomy Career Hub.
Okay, yeah, that comment of, we're talking about the one about mindset.
Yes, the mindset one, yeah.
Yeah, your mind, oh my goodness, mindset is absolutely everything. We kick things off on Centonomy Career Hub by saying the most important changes on your body is between your ears. If whatever is happening here, you haven't settled that, you haven't figured it out, you haven't perfected it and molded it in a way that it is strong and it can handle whatever the world has to throw at it, then you're in trouble. So your mindset is, that is the biggest tool. I would say bigger than your education, bigger than anything, because that's where motivation comes from. That's where planning comes from. That's where perspective comes from. That's where branding comes from. Deliberateness comes from that. Most employers will tell you that they hire for attitude and then they train for skill, because a skill, you know, those things that you're talking about now, Waceke, my skill is this, I am a lawyer, I'm an accountant and whatever. Anybody can train you on those things, but your attitude is yours. I cannot change your attitude unless you yourself know exactly what it is that your attitude is, and it starts with whatever is going on in your mind. Your attitude towards yourself. Do you love yourself enough to want better for yourself? Yeah, or do you love, or don't you care too much for yourself that for you, your core agenda is just not dying? And I say that not as a joke. I'm serious. There are people who think survival is like the objective.
Yes.
And what we talk about in Career Hub is that the people whose job it is to just survive. Just, you know what, I'm going to have food, shelter, clothing, some bundles, some money for transport, maybe a bit of money for entertainment, maybe a bit of savings. What we say in the Career Hub is that's survival. That is
survival.
It's like me saying, oh, at least, you know, I deserve a pat on the back because at least I'm not in jail.
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be in jail. Like that's nothing to be proud of. Like me not being in jail is nothing to be proud of. You surviving and paying your bills and paying rent is nothing to be proud of.
We were not created for survival. We were told to multiply. Yeah?
Go
forth and multiply.
Do some things with your life, surely. So what we talk about in Career Hub as far as mindset is concerned is that if your attitude towards your career or your life is, you know what, I just need to pay bills, I just not starve, I just need to make sure the landlord is off my case, I just need to make sure that at least I have some clothes, I'm not naked. If that is what you're aiming for, imagine that's what you will get.
Yeah.
And there's nothing remarkable about that, because whatever it is that we aim for, we get. If you aim for just surviving, you will survive. But Career Hub is not about surviving, it's about thriving. And it's about sure that now, once you've understood that your mindset is, I'm built for more than just paying bills. I'm built for more than just doing whatever it is that people have said exist, then now we can start taking steps to looking at what are you good at? What is your unique value proposition? Career Hub makes sure it removes that from you from day one. From the first module, our agenda is to extract that unique value proposition, the motivation, the engine that gets you going to thinking, okay, you know what, I can do more with this. Because the minute you realize that the ingredients for Githeri Kibanda is the same ingredients for sauteed in Kempinski. You start to think of yourself a little bit different. That ingredients that I have as Mwenesi, I can just be here and say, okay, fine, I am Mwenesi, I'm just a guy, woye,
this is my lot in life.
My lot in life. Or you know what, I am Mwenesi, I'm very patient with people. How can I use that patience for business development? I am Mwenesi, I'm very patient with people. How can I use that patience for coaching? I am Mwenesi, very patient with people. How can I use that to get ahead with my boss in the job that I'm in? That patience can take you so far, but if you know how to use it, how to package it, how to think about it differently, it will be stuck like that bit of silver which is in the ground, which can't happen, and we can't extract value from it. So Career Hub is all about removing that value that you already have. First, we remove it in your mind. Then we make sure that you understand exactly what this value looks like in terms of your strengths. Then we package, we make sure that from a branding perspective, it makes sense. You're able to communicate it better and effectively. You're able to now use it for you as you're communicating it to your networks start working for you. We say that the opposite of networking is not working. If you don't have networks and you don't know how to leverage them, many of us have business card holders, they're full, email addresses are full, phone books are packed, contact lists, but we're not using them, or we don't know how to use them. We don't know how we can make them work for us. And then finally, by that time, you will already know that people will start looking to you for guidance, for advice. They will start looking at you and say, hey, you seem to know where you're going. That means that you're already becoming a leader. By just doing those things, people will start gravitating towards you. They will start being attracted to you and asking you to set the agenda for them. And that leadership, you can exchange it for value. You then become the MD or the director or the manager that you never previously were, because you were busy thinking, it's my masters that will make me the manager. No, people will gravitate to you as a leader once you start demonstrating those leadership qualities, which by the time you finish Centonomy Career Hub, you will be doing it, whether you like it or not. So that's in a nutshell.
Amazing. And Centonomy, thank you, Mwenesi, thank you, Charity, so much. I wish we had more time. This conversation could have taken another hour for sure, but thank you both so much for your insights. I've seen even from the comments, people are now, their mindsets have shifted. Someone has said this should be in the curriculum. We've been said changing mentality, job versus career. People are now thinking differently and understanding even new opportunities. And as Mwenesi was saying, it's your mindset that will make you see the new opportunity. We are no longer doing things like we used to. So you can register for Centonomy Career Hub. We're putting all the details on the chat online. We are currently registering people for our next intake, and you will meet us there and Mwenesi there when you do take the class. Making Sense, the book, the details are on the screen where you can buy them. You can call the number on the screen and talk to a lady called Beth. And you can also go online, Rafu, Amazon, Nuria, and at physical bookshops, Yaya Center, Barclays Plaza, Mamangina, and Patmat. The bookshops currently are in Kenya, but we know we have an audience from all over, and we are shortly entering Uganda. But remember, you can buy the book online. And remember, even Centonomy Career Hub is online. So whichever country you're from, you can actually sign up for the program. So once again, to my guests, Charity, Mwenesi, amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you too, Waceke. Really great to be here as always.
All right. I've learned so much, taken so many notes. Everybody, thank you for joining Making Sense Conversations again. We will see you next week on Friday. Have a pleasant weekend. Bye.
Bye.